Let's change tack by looking at, following the just concluded ministerial retreat, Minister of Aviation Festus Keyamo has warned the CEOs of parastatals under his ministry to brace up or get sacked. He says, and I quote, I have signed my performance bond, so if you don't want me to get sacked in the next few months, you need to support me. It's a race to who will survive. Somebody must die first, but before I die, I will take you down. Would you say governance is no longer business as usual, BKO, under the Tinubu administration?
Yes, he wants to succeed, no doubt about it. He wants to succeed, and the president Tinubu that I know back in those days as governor of Lagos, the Akodo beach and resorts was where he used to have his retreat with his commissioner, special assistant, and the rest of them. This is what he has decided to do at the national as president. We had a situation under the Buhari administration whereby ministers did not even think they were accountable to anybody. Ministers who were not performing were left in office. Some of them left in office for 8 years, doing nothing. We cannot afford that at this time, especially given the state in which our economy is, given the near paralysis of the Nigerian economy. We need ministers who are performing, ministers who have been given critical portfolios must be seen to have capacity, must be seen to be working. I used to say back then that President Buhari appointed people but never set KPIs for them. He didn't like sacking people because he felt if he sacked them, their families will suffer and all that. I was speaking with a minister who served under President Buhari, and he told me that, look, one day he told him, look, get rid of some of these people who are not working, who are not performing. And he said, if I get rid of him, what will his family eat? That was the sort of president that we had. And but I'm happy that actually Bola Ahmed Tinubu does not want to toe that line, because it makes no sense to toe that line. Ministers must earn their days in office. So if you are to spend 4 years in office, you must genuinely earn it. It must be because you are good enough to stay in office for that long. So, and the president made it clear to them that, look, it will not be business as usual. It will not be the way the former administration ran things. Said, if you are performing, nothing to fear. If you miss the objective, we'll review. If no performance, you leave us. No one is an island, and the buck stops at my desk. You have responsibility to serve. So what approach, and he told his ministers to not be afraid to take big decisions, but they must also not antagonize their bosses, because we had their special advisors, they had other categories of presidential aides, and they said, look, you need to work with your bosses, but don't be afraid to point out errors, but don't be antagonistic to your bosses. So, and he said, see, I've told you, I've said it in the past that, look, I am ready to accept my mistakes. If I make a mistake, point it out to me. That way I will adjust, because only God is above mistakes. He said, I can make mistakes. Point it out to me. Perfection is only that of God Almighty. So, and he also said a great Nigeria is possible through our commitment, guidance, and resolute determination. Results will be delivered. So he has made it clear, and I think the president, in appointing Adiza Bala Usman, found a woman tough as nails, who will be able to do that job. She's experienced. She's cerebral. She has a good head on her shoulders. She's is quite brilliant, and she's as tough as they come. She has nerves of steel, and I believe she's not the sort of person that you can easily intimidate. But as I've said on the analyst hangout, I would want to see a committee, and I want to see parameters set in terms of determining what the person needs to do to be considered good enough to remain in office. Mr. President should not be afraid to come up with a cabinet reshuffle so that indolent ministers can be shown the door. I know it's difficult sometimes when you look at, who brought this person to the cabinet and all that, but in the business of serving Nigeria, you must be ready to step on toes. You must be ready to offend some of your best friends. But you have to put your eyes on the ball. You have to tell yourself that, look, Nigeria is bigger than each and every one of us, and we must succeed in putting Nigeria on the right path. So I'm happy. Service chiefs should only be able to keep their positions if we see improvement in security. I've been suggesting this for so long. Even a DPO in the community, a divisional police officer, should only be able to keep that job if he has been able to keep the area safe. A situation in which people get killed like fowls and nothing happens should not be what we'll be grappling with. We need to see improvement, and these ministers, we have the largest cabinet in history. They have to perform or get out of the system. I believe that Mr. President is well placed to set his priorities for his ministers and to assess them competently. And I'm sure Adiza Bola Ahmed, Bala Usman, who has been interfacing with the ministers, will be able to get everyone singing from the same hymnal so that the renewed hope agenda could be achieved. It could be long days, but I'm confident that we will see improvements. By just as Rewane said, by the end of the first quarter of next year, Nigerians will begin to see improvements, especially on the economy. Hopefully, experience some good inflows, good capital inflows from foreign investors, foreign portfolio investors, foreign direct investment, which will certainly help us to stabilize our currency, impact positively even on businesses.